Boy, this story looks real familiar, doesn't it? See, this was published 28 minutes ago. Now, from the time you're seeing it's going to be a lot more. But I wonder, I really truly wonder if YouTube is going to send out warnings now to Fox and CNN and MSNBC about their use of fear porn to get views. Because we reported this exact thing 30 days ago. And that's what we were met with 30 days ago. When we said this was going to be a problem, that it was going to continue to grow, that Americans needed to act responsibly. The very first video I did within the first 3 minutes, those were my words. Act responsibly, protect yourself. Get masks, get gloves, get hand sanitizer, and stay out of public areas when you don't need to be. And that was, of course, the fear porn. Now, the mainstream media using images and using words that when I used them got my videos demonetized is trying to catch up. I'd like to share something with you guys. It's kind of boring, but I use it all the time to get information out on the cutting edge. And you can do this too. This is just a Google search page. But if you go down to the first line, here below it, there is a thing that says Tools. If you click Tools, this new line will pop up. And you can search, you can control the results. You can force the engine to give you the most recent results sorted chronologically. It won't default to that. It'll default to sorted by relevance, meaning Google chooses for you. And it'll basically sort to just whenever, unless you select specifically past 24 hours and sorted by date. And I've done that here. And the most ironic thing about this is the first thing that comes up is that article from Fox I just showed. But the picture that they're using for the thumbnail, I have tried to use multiple times. And it has gotten my videos demonetized. It's a picture, it's kind of hard to see, of 4 or 5 guys in full protective gear at night burying Ebola corpse in a coffin. And they called my stuff fear porn. They used the word fear right in the title of their article here. That's a no-no on YouTube. There are all sorts of automatic demonetization words that will get you, no matter what the content of the video is. It can be cute little puppies and kittens. And if that word is anywhere in your metadata, you are automatically demonetized. Pardon me. But I just wanted to share that with you guys, that it is now a mainstream media article. But I would like to add something to your toolbox of things to help. We've talked about the masks, we've talked about the gloves, we've talked about the hand sanitizer, avoiding public places, those are the big 4. You know, cleaning up your mailbox because you're being brought paper. And paper is a great holder of germs and bacteria and fungus and virus. And those pieces of paper have been touching every other piece of paper that's gone through the mail system. So it's probably the biggest threat to anyone who would be just staying at home. But as far as your immune system goes, we're going to go through these real quick. And it's going to basically describe the average American. Chronic stress. To the greatest ability that you have, reduce it in your life. Processed foods. I'm sure a lot of you know this. Most of you are much more up on the health benefits of eating right and how to handle yourself and have access to those resources. Alcohol, of course, excessive alcohol, moderate is okay. This is a big one for a lot of people, inadequate sleep. And I look at the demographics of my videos and I know that the vast majority of you are my age and older. As we get older, we just need more. It just is what it is. Obesity, this is something else that as we get older, we fight. Exercise every day, at least a little bit, something, anything, going for a walk after dinner. That goes along with this one right here, inactivity. Excessive use of medicines. A lot of you have been really good about ringing the warning bell about all the over-the-counter stuff and the antibiotics. Lack of proper hygiene. That's a personal thing. If it's something you're going to do, you're going to do. If you're not, you're not. Radiation, something we have to be very, very conscious of here in Florida. Smoking, and this is all smoking. Anytime you're sucking foreign objects into your lungs and coating your alveoli, it's not good. And not drinking enough water. I've almost cut down to nothing but water. Drinking, literally, I have some flavored versions of water, but very little else. So those were the big 11. But something else I would like to talk to you guys about today here as we get out of this video. I know that a lot of you have come and become members of the channel, and I appreciate it. We were going to do psychological operations training here. We were going to do states' rights at Patreon, and the way YouTube is continually making themselves completely unpredictable, I think what I'm going to have to do is just this. I'm going to have to use Patreon for the gloves off stuff, no matter what the topic. Because there's certain words I can't use here. Certain topics, certain subjects I just can't cover here. The minute the word comes out of my mouth, in the metadata, which they analyze instantly, there's no remonetizing the video. And I know a lot of you think, well, you shouldn't be doing it for the money. The more videos you get demonetized, once you're a monetized channel, your standards are way higher than everyone else's. And the minute you start racking up a whole bunch of demonetized videos, they start looking at your channel as a whole as to whether they're going to let you continue to speak or not. So as channel operators, we've got to be really careful. And I know a lot of you said DLive and BitChute, and I am looking into that. I'm actually looking into Vimeo too. But the reason I want to talk about states' rights here specifically today is every year, I shouldn't say every year, every election cycle, the mainstream media has as one of its primary tasks completely delegitimize third parties. Now, I know many of you don't see it specifically because they don't have a section that says, why you shouldn't vote third party. They don't have a specific section for it. But they bait third party guys into interviews because one of the things that third parties fight the most is access. As the internet has become more prevalent, it's a little bit better. But to not have any airtime, not be part of the debates, any chance they have, they jump at to get on, the big channels. And very recently, Fox put this out. Now, this guy named Adam Kokesh has put himself in the running for the Libertarian nomination. And he says he's going to abolish the federal government on day one and then resign. Hand the power back over to the states. Well, the way they word this title, it's a tactic, it's a technique. It's called reductio ad absurdum. Now, I'm going to remind everyone of 2015 when Gary Johnson went on MSNBC and had his infamous what they call Aleppo moment. For those of you that don't know what this is, real quick version, he was given a list of things that he was going to be asked about. One of them was the Syrian situation. And that's how they said it in the notes. They went through the interview, and at one point, the interviewer looks at Gary Johnson and says, what would you do about the Aleppo? And that's all he says, or what would you do about Aleppo? Now, Gary Johnson kind of froze. You see, at that time, there was this picture circulating around the MSM, mostly the left-wing MSM, of this little boy sitting in the back of an ambulance. You might have remembered it. And he was covered with dirt, and one of his eyes was closed, and there was blood on the side of his face. And of course, all of the female left-wing commentators had, of course, been all teary-eyed talking about it. From their perspective, from the left-wing perspective, everybody knew what Aleppo was. It was the city where this bombing had occurred, this building had collapsed, and they'd gotten this little boy out. So when he said that, and Gary Johnson said, "What's Aleppo?" That was the moment MSNBC took to smear and make Gary Johnson look stupid. And they edited the video, like they have so many times, to make it seem like he had no idea what was going on in Syria, and he would be the worst foreign policy president ever. You see, after that, he says, he's like, it's a city in Syria. And then, of course, Gary Johnson said, "Oh, the Syrian situation. Okay." And then he went on and was very eloquent about what he would do. But, of course, you never saw that part of it. And the worst part was, there were so many right-wing outlets, so many people calling themselves conservatives, that were all of a sudden worshiping MSNBC as the truth. Not calling them into question at all. Saying, see, Gary Johnson's stupid. That's why we need our guy. And this happens every year. Every single year. And that's what they're doing in this article. The reason I said that, the reason I shared all that, is this is what they're doing now with Adam Kokesh. They're trying to make him look like he is some kind of radical and ridiculous. See, people forget. We have 50 state governors. We have 50 state senates. We have 50 state houses of representatives. We have 50 Supreme Courts. We have 50 National Guards. Each of our own states has the ability to govern and operate on its own. And this is what I have called for, and this is what Adam Kokesh has said he wants to do. Now, down here in this article, this is where they get people to think something that isn't true. Quote from him, "My proposal is the localization of government," he said, "dissolving it through a bankruptcy process in a peaceful, orderly manner that would leave us with 50 independent states and, of course, up to 562 sovereign native nations." See, this is where it was like, that's completely ridiculous. We can't have 562, blah, blah, blah. There are already 562 sovereign native nations. See, we were the original illegal invaders here. It wouldn't be new to a libertarian president. We already have 562 sovereign native nations. The only change would be the 50 independent states. But they have to put this in here in this way to make it seem like he's some kind of crazy. And of course, there is this article from 71 Republic that talks about how he's been arrested once for power washing the word freedom into a filthy street in New Orleans. And he was also arrested for dancing at the Jefferson Memorial. Those are his crimes. So this is my official endorsement for president right now, given that he says he'll be elected and then abolish it. And if you would like to share this idea with people without actually having to talk to them, I'm sure many of you have seen the devoted t-shirts. Devoted to these election night returns. Nobody votes R, nobody votes D. If you want to vote for your candidate, vote for them. If you want to vote for the Green Party, vote for the Green Party. If you want to vote for Adam Kokesh, vote for him. If you can't find anybody that you can get behind, this PSYOP type of voting against, is garbage. There's no such thing as a vote against. There's no such thing as a vote against. Because for those of you that said, well, I didn't like the current guy, but the other person, they're terrible, so I held my nose and voted against that other person. Well, if your vote for this person is a vote against everyone else, then you voted against every other person than the person you voted for. In 48 states, there were 4 people on the ballot last time. In 48 states, there were 4 people on the ballot last time. So you voted against all the other 3 too, all 3 of them. It's a ridiculous psychological operation the mainstream media runs every time. There is no such thing as a vote against someone, period. And the last thing I'll cover is this. We are going to probably use Patreon now for the things that I can't say on YouTube, regardless of the subject. And I think what I'm going to do is do a poll and ask you what subjects you would like me to talk about. And then I will do the very best I can to give you my opinion on it. But those videos are going to have to be at Patreon, because I'm not losing my channel. I'm not going to risk what I have worked years to build. It's taken me 2 years to build 100,000 subs, and it is now my primary source of income. I'm not going to risk it, especially when there are options like this. So I will leave it there. But I guess all I can really say is keep your eyes open, guys, because now it's real. And by that I mean the mainstream media has now given it their blessing. So we will leave it there. Like, share, subscribe.